good. I'm feeling great. And it is time for the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles. And let's go ahead and jump into our first topic. And it's going to be this. The Packers upset the Lions 29-22 to keep their playoff hopes alive with a big day from Jordan Love. And pretty much Jordan Love said, allow me to introduce myself. Pretty much he showed all the different arm angles and all the things that really make people salivate over quarterbacks, and he's showing that the Green Bay Packers were not foolish for drafting him in the first round. And he may wind up being the steal of that group as well, too, because let's keep it real. There's a lot of things that are still yet to be desired by a lot of people in that group, but he's from a great group as well, too. I think it's the group that actually features Burrow, Tua, and Herbert. So this is pretty cool that he was a guy who was considered a top quarterback prospect coming into the draft, and he's playing up to that potential. A lot of people thought that he was probably going to press Aaron Rodgers for the job immediately, and he didn't. Aaron Rodgers was still there. It was a mentor-student type situation with these two, and it's worked out very well. I know a lot of people were kind of mad about the fact that I know they tried to make up some things to say that Rodgers didn't want him there, and Rodgers, he saw the writing on the wall. He wants to move on, blah, 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 blah. But he shows so much support and love towards Jordan Love. That's absolutely just BS. You know what I mean? That's just to keep the clickbait going, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, quarterbacks are really close. They're always best of friends on these teams, and they golf together, they camp together, they hang together, their kids know each other. It's just always something that they can always reflect on. These guys are always really good friends. So, it's another example of the patience of the Packers. Okay. You have pretty much a season where you tell Jordan Love, let's just go ahead and figure it out. Let's see what we can do with you. And everything looks good. And then next year, we'll make sure that we put everything together as a solid unit, because they're still sitting up in here paying certain players, and they're not even on the roster anymore. But that's how the NFL is a lot of times with these guys who guarantee money. So pretty much they're just trying to make sure they open up some cap space. But at the same time, too, when you break down the game, the Packers were just phenomenal yesterday. They were very, very focused. They looked like the group that Matt LaFleur coached the first 2 years he was there, and pretty much led to be the best team in the NFC for 2 years straight record-wise. They weren't the best team overall, but they were pretty good record-wise, and they were a very, very tough out. Yesterday, Jordan Love was able to throw for 3 touchdowns yesterday, 22 of 32, 268 yards with a 68.8 completion percentage, almost 70%, and he finished up with his highest QBR of the season at 125.5. That's an absolutely phenomenal performance. He got some help from A.J. Dillon, who had 43 yards yesterday. He added in 39 himself. They're finding things with this kid, Reed, who absolutely was a very good example of them having their own version of Tyreek. Even though he didn't have the biggest game yesterday, he still was able to be very usable. You know what I mean? He got 4 catches yesterday for 34 yards, and was able to score a touchdown with that as well too. But Christian Watson was really the teller, that was really the star of the game on the offensive side, other than Jordan Love. He was able to get himself 5 catches yesterday for 94 yards, and he was able to score a touchdown. But he set the tone for what was about to come with a very, very long catch to start the game off for the Packers, and that put the Packers right in position to where they needed to be. That set up a big-time play. It was a big-time moment for them as well, too. So this was something that they really, really banked on, and they really enjoyed. And, it just was very key to the victory. It was just so huge towards winning this game. And I think that there's a lot of things that they really are telling themselves now that, we can believe we can get into the playoffs. As I said on the show, I said that I know a lot of people are very convinced with Josh Dobbs and leading the Vikings to the playoffs, but I feel like they are put themselves in a bad position last week, losing that game to Denver. They had to keep the momentum riding. Now they have a Green Bay who's confident enough to catch up with them. You have the Rams who are confident right now. You have Atlanta and Tampa Bay who are still fighting it out for their division as well too. But that's about it when it comes to the NFC. But Green Bay is still in the race, and they got 2 games with Minnesota. That's why I mention it, because this can be a great moment for this team to take off and ascend into the next level. Let's go before we move off of this. Let's look at the Packers schedule real quick. The Packers have themselves what looks like 6 games left to go in the season. And next week, they do have themselves a Sunday night matchup with Kansas City at Arrowhead. Then they also have the Giants coming up on Monday Night Football. So they got 3 primetime games in a row. And then they come back around and they play against Tampa Bay back at home. Then they got back-to-back road games as well, too, where they have Carolina and Minnesota. And this is going to be a pivotal game against a Minnesota team. And then you know what? They finish up the season with Chicago, and Chicago is not a guarantee at all. So this is going to be a really good stretch for this team. I will say this: if they're able to finish with this stretch from what it looks like here, if they can take the next 5 out of 6, they should be able to make the playoffs. That's the goal in mind that they need to have, because at the end of the day, they take the next 5 out of 6, they finish 10-7, or worst case scenario 9-8. But they have to figure it out, and really, pretty much right now, they have to finish up the season at least going 4-2. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and we move on from there. And let's go ahead and jump into our next, which is going to be the